20 of the dumbest ways people have died. Death is certainly a morbid subject to discuss, but we've all likely thought about it. No doubt a lot of people would prefer dying quietly in their sleep. Nobody wants to leave the earth slowly, wasting away in pain, or perhaps even losing their minds. Also, no one would want to go out in an extremely violent way. Then there are the dumb, ironic deaths, and there are plenty of those. With that in mind, let's take a look at 20 of the dumbest ways people have died. But before you do, we would like to welcome you to our channel. Don't hesitate to subscribe, join our zoo community, like, and click the bell icon. You'll be very interested to hear what we have to say, so make sure you stick around or you'll miss it. Number 20. Bit his tongue. Alan Pinkerton was a Scottish-American detective and spy, famed for creating the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. The most well-known tale of his death is that this man, who had spent his life personally chasing many of the most dangerous outlaws in the country, was walking his wife's poodle one day when the dog allegedly wrapped its leash around Pinkerton's legs. He tripped, fell onto the concrete, and intensely bit his own tongue. Due to the painful bite, his tongue became infected with gangrene, which resulted in his untimely death. Number 19. Stabbed his toe. Famous Tennessee whiskey distiller Jack Daniel came into work early one morning before anyone else had arrived at the distillery. He wanted to complete some paperwork and needed to open the safe. He had trouble remembering the combination and was so frustrated that he kicked the safe with his left foot. The blow to his big toe gave him a nasty infection, and his foot had to be amputated. The gangrene continued spreading throughout his system, and he later lost his left leg due to poor blood circulation. He died due to complications from the gangrene infection. Number 18. Death by beard. Hans Steininger from Austria was famous for two things. The first was for having the world's longest beard, which was 4 feet and 7 inches long. And the second was for dying due to his beard. In 1567, there was a fire in Hans' town, and in his haste, he forgot to roll up his beard. He accidentally stepped on his beard, lost his balance, stumbled, and died after falling and breaking his neck. Number 17. Too much laughter. On March 24, 1975, Alex Mitchell passed away after watching the Kung Fu Capers episode of The Goodies. Reportedly due to the TV episode, Mitchell kept laughing continuously for 25 minutes and finally fell dead on the sofa from heart failure. His wife later sent a thank you letter to the Goodies for making Mitchell's final moments of life so beautiful. Number 16. Drowned by gifts. Draco was the first recorded legislator of Athens in ancient Greece, whose legacy is known for its harshness. Thus, the term draconian is often related to unforgiving rules or laws. It is said that Draco's death in the 7th century BC came to be when his contemporaries, as a massive show of appreciation and praise, smothered and practically drowned him through a downpour of cloaks, hats, and shirts at the Aeginetan Theater. Number 15. Squashed by an elephant. Eliezer Averin was killed in 162 BC by an elephant in the Battle of Beth Zechariah. He sought to encourage his comrades by demonstrating the king's elephant's vulnerability, so he charged at the biggest elephant he could find, got beneath it, and thrust his spear into the unarmored belly, killing the beast. He did not get to savor his success for long, because the dying elephant fell on top of him and crushed him to death. Number 14. Beer flood. On the 17th of October, 1814, the Moe & Company brewery had huge vats of beer tanks rupture and flow with intensity into the streets of Tottenham Court Road. In total, more than 320,000 gallons of beer flooded the town and claimed the lives of at least 8 people that either drowned in the beer or died from injuries. Up to present day, this incident is referred to as the London Beer Flood. Number 13. Death by dessert. Adolf Fredrik, the King of Sweden, ate himself to death in 1771 after having a meal consisting of lobster, caviar, sauerkraut, cabbage soup, and smoked herring that was washed down with copious amounts of champagne and 14 servings of his favorite dessert, Selma, a Swedish sweet roll topped with whipped cream and hot milk. Not long after dinner, he began complaining of stomach aches, which steadily worsened until he died a few hours later. He is known as the king that ate himself to death. Number 12. Embracing the moon. The Chinese poet Li Bai was well known for writing his infamous poetry while intoxicated. It is said that one drunken evening, while in his boat on the Yangtze River, Li Po fell in love with the moon, and in his desperation, he drowned while drunkenly chasing the moon's reflection on a river, jumping from boat to boat to catch the ever-shifting orb. Number 11. Jumping into a volcano. Empedocles was a famous Greek philosopher and scientist who was worshipped like a god by his townsfolk, as they were all in awe of him. This seemed to have gone to his head, and, convinced he was divine, he jumped into Mount Etna. It is thought he did this so that people would believe he had disappeared and turned into an immortal god. While no one can confirm this incident, it can be said that Empedocles was not a god after all. Number 10. Swallowing a newt. In July 1979, a 29-year-old college student from Coos Bay, Oregon, swallowed a newt on a dare. What he did not know was that this particular amphibian's skin produced a highly potent toxin that would kill a healthy male adult even at less than half its strength. Unfortunately, the man picked up the deadly newt and swallowed it whole. He died later that day from cardiopulmonary arrest. Number 9. Deodorant heart attack. A teenager from Oldham, England, died from deodorant fumes because of his obsession with personal hygiene. An inquest read that 16-year-old Jonathan Capewell had 10 times the lethal dosage of propane and butane in his blood. He had become obsessed with smelling fresh and would cover his entire body in deodorant at least twice a day. The schoolboy died after suffering a heart attack. It is thought the gases built up in his body following months of continually spraying himself. Number 8. The Titanic Pose. Emma Black from Plymouth, Devon, had been heavily drinking on a ferry from Spain to England when she plunged to her death in 2003. Apparently, her untimely death occurred after she stretched her arms out in the famous Kate Winslet pose from the Titanic movie. This pose caused Emma to lose her balance and fall from the 9th deck into the water. Her body washed up on the French coast 8 months later. Number 7. Shopping cart. In March 2008, Cameron Bieberl was riding inside a shopping cart while holding onto an SUV driven by his friend Michael A. Smith. The cart's wheels struck a speed bump in the shopping center parking lot at 42 miles per hour and overturned. Cameron's head hit the pavement of the parking lot, and he died at the scene. Number 6. Orange peel. Bobby Leach was the ultimate daredevil. He was the second man to go over Niagara Falls in a metal barrel, and he performed many other terrifying stunts, such as swimming in whirlpool rapids. However, his outrageous stunts would not keep him from the dangers of slipping. In 1926, while walking down the road, he slipped on an orange peel. The fall injured his leg and caused it to become infected with gangrene. He died a short while after. Number 5. Sandcastle. On the 7th of August 1997, at a beach in Buxton, North Carolina, Daniel Jones decided to dig an 8-foot deep hole in the sand and sit at the very bottom of it. The hole collapsed in on him, trapping him underneath. Several beachgoers attempted to dig him out, but it was not until heavy equipment was brought in that he was freed. But it was already too late at the time. Number 4. Shooting a cactus. David Grunman, in 1982, fired several close-range shots with his shotgun at a saguaro cactus. The cacti, which stood 26 feet tall, dropped a 4-foot branch on top of Grunman's head, ultimately crushing him to death. Grunman's death is immortalized in the song Saguara, written by the Texas band the Austin Lounge Lizards. And now, it's time for our regular subscriber pick. Today's picture was submitted to us by one of our subscribers. If you see a photo or video floating around and are curious to know more about it, send it over to us, and we'll quench your interest. We could also possibly feature it on a future video. Number 3. At a glance, this image looks highly edited and photoshopped, but who knows? She might be sitting on the tracks in front of the train to fulfill her death wish. These two also happen to be images that were sent to us by our subscribers. We snooped around for a bit and unearthed the mysteries behind them as well. Number 2. Looking at this first image brings to mind the story of Roderick de la Cruz. On April 23, 2002, witnesses told police that Roderick de la Cruz of Caloocan City, Philippines, shook uncontrollably as electric current ripped through his body after he had bragged that he had a way with electricity like no one else. To prove this, he handled a live wire and sustained third-degree burns in most parts of his body. He was rushed to the hospital, but died before reaching it. Number 1. The second image shows a person in a beekeeping suit standing directly underneath a hornet's nest. Why they seem to be taking that risk, we may never know. But if they happen to have a death wish, then, well, consider it granted, because hornets very aggressively guard their nests, and their stings are more dangerous than that of bees. And that concludes our list of 20 of the dumbest ways people have died. Let us know in the comments section below which one of these you found the most shocking. Thank you for watching Life Hack Giraffe. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon. And we will see you next time.